of the webinars in our series of webinars, and details of our upcoming webinars can be accessed at our own website. Yes, this is the chat window, dear participants. And I have shared the link of our upcoming webinars with all my participants in the chat window. You can click on the link and you can even register yourself for our upcoming webinars. Good evening, dear participants. A very good evening to all of you. I welcome you all to today's webinar on education for anyone, anytime and anywhere, NEP 2020 and beyond. As per schedule, we shall be starting with today's webinar sharp at 6. Good evening, PS Grover sir. It's good to have you today. But sir has joined us as an attendee, so sir cannot unmute. Good evening, PS Grover sir. Welcome to the webinar. I hope I am audible to Grover sir, and sir is on mute. A very good evening, all dear participants. I welcome you all to today's webinar on education for anyone, anytime, and anywhere, NEP 2020 and beyond. As per schedule, we shall be starting with today's webinar sharp at 6 p.m. Meanwhile, it is time for tea and networking. I hope all of you will be enjoying your tea at your home in a safe environment. Kindly ensure whatever device you are connected with through us for today's webinar, you should be able to access the chat window on the same. Keep typing your affiliation and details in the chat window so that we know who all are there with us in the chat window. Good evening, Sanjay Behel sir. Welcome once again to our webinar. Dear participants, details of all our upcoming webinars are also available at our website, the details of which I have already shared in the chat window. Good evening, dear participants. Kindly maximize your knowledge with this webinar. It's great to welcome participants from all nooks and corners of the country. I can see participants from Varanasi have joined us. Participants from all different parts of the nation have joined us. It's wonderful to have all of you with us today for this webinar. Very good evening, dear participants. A very warm welcome to all of you to today's webinar. Education for anyone, anytime, and anywhere, NEP 2020 and beyond. The NEP 2020 is bound to be National Education Policy 2020 is bound to be a revolutionary move which is going to revolutionize the academics of our country especially. So the underlying motive of this particular NEP 2020 is education for anyone, anytime, anywhere, which simply implies that any person, any age group, any choices, any interest at any point of time during their life, they can continue with their education. Age, distance, any of the factors are not going to serve as a barrier anymore. But implementation of this, what would be the challenges involved? What is the underlying meaning involved? That is what our expert for today's webinar is going to enlighten us during this session. Our expert for today's webinar, Professor K. Subramaniam, IEEE Ambassador and Area Coordinator, India, IEEE CSGAC, would be joining us anytime soon. And we shall be starting with the webinar sharp at 6. Good evening, Grover sir. Sir, you are on mute.
Is that okay?
Good evening. Are we audible
Yes,
to
sir.
you?
Good evening,
Yeah,
sir.
I can
Welcome
hear
to
you.
the
You're
webinar.
audible. उदय जी कैसे हैं?
सर बस आशीर्वाद आपका, ऑल योर बेस्ट विशेस। आप बताएं कैसे हैं?
मैं बिल्कुल बढ़िया हूँ। As you know, as smiling as always है। मैंने आपका नाम smiling
नहीं
face
नहीं,
रखा
दैट
है।
ऑल वी हैव लर्न फ्रॉम यू।
It's always a pleasure and privilege,
और
उदय जी।
आपको अभी भी देखते हैं एक्टिव, तो हमें और ज्यादा इंस्पायरेशन मिलती है और ज्यादा एनर्जी मिलती है।
अरे ये सारा श्रेय जो है आपको जाता है।
नहीं नहीं, ये श्रेय आपने जो इंस्पायरेशन दी है उनको जाता है। मैं ओपनली कहता हूँ, जब मैं एमसीए का स्टूडेंट था तो गोवर सर प्रोफेसर थे हैं, और वो जब से हम सीख रहे हैं सर।
बिल्कुल जिस तरह से आप वो कहते हैं ना, लगे रहो। अल्लाह मियाँ
जी
को क्या एक कहावत है,
जी,
आप तो फॉलो करते हैं, लगे रहो।
कोशिश जारी है सर, कोशिश जारी है।
अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा।
दोबारा से ओमिक्रॉन कुछ कुछ डिसरप्शंस कर रहा। अभी अभी खबर ने टीवी पे देख रहा था कि मुंबई में कल आज आज रात में और कल 144 लगाया गया, बिकॉज फ्यू न्यू केसेस आर कमिंग। सो so much of disruption and negativity keeps coming, that unless we connect to the people and ensure that learning continues, people might go into the negative zone. And learning must happen, and this probably the online technology is a big facilitator in that process.
बिल्कुल ठीक है उदय जी,
Yes sir.
आप डूइंग ह्यूमन सर्विस in this in this line, because keeping people active and informed is a great contribution.
Yes sir.
क्योंकि कल ही मेरे को, कल हम की शादी में गए हुए थे,
जी
तो बॉम्बे से कोई आए हुए थे, तो वो बता रहे थे अंकल बहुत सारा था इसमें हाइप है,
जी
और बहुत मतलब इसके मुश्किल है, लेकिन हाइप इसमें ज्यादा है।
जी,
तो दैट इज लाइक वी हैव टू लिव विद इट।
right. We have no option but to live with it.
हाँ
Probably we have to change our lifestyle. We have to change the way we do business. We have to change the way we do teaching learning processes. So everything in and around us are changing. And these webinars, right from June 2020, is part of that change.
बिल्कुल। बल्कि मैं तो उसके लाइट मूड में कह रहा था, यार इससे बुड्ढों को भी जॉब मिल गई है। क्योंकि इट कीप्स अस वेरी बिजी।
आपको पता है लास्ट ईयर जो हमने एफडीपी की सीरीज के लॉन्च की, इवेंट वेबिनार में, we had guests from all parts of the world. And
हाँ राइट।
unless it is conducted in online mode, how can we have guests from all parts of the world? Just now, the participants are typing their name, affiliation, and city, and I could see there are participants from Kashmir,
यस
participants from Orissa, participants from Kerala, participants from Bihar, participants from Bengal. कैसे पॉसिबल हो सकता था सर ये ऑफलाइन में? ये नहीं पॉसिबल हो सकता था सर।
बिल्कुल।
And that is the energy which me and my team gets. Okay, participants from all parts of the country, they keep on waiting for the webinars. And now those initial webinars were few exceptions, but now since last almost 1 year, the participants who attend this program are very serious participants. Those who really want to attend and get some knowledge, they are attending the programs. बिल्कुल शुरू शुरू के 3-4 महीने तो पार्टिसिपेंट्स थे, कुछ नहीं तो ये वेबिनार अटेंड कर लें, but now very serious participants are attending, and that is quite obvious from the part of the attendees list. And today also I could see very senior participants amongst attendees. I could see Dr. Kori, the vice president of IET from Bangalore, joining. He is in attendee list, and there are many.
राइट राइट।
Yes sir.
इनफैक्ट मार्वलस टीम, दे आर सो कमिटेड। ये उनको अब काम दे दीजिए, वो जैसे मैं लाइट मूड में कह रहा हूँ, ये बिल्ली चूहे को पड़ती है ना। आपका आपका म्यूट हो गया है, आपका माइक म्यूट हो
मैंने
गया।
म्यूट किया था, वो फोन आ रहा था एक।
अच्छा अच्छा।
प्रोफेसर सुब्रमण्यम एक दूसरी मीटिंग में थे, तो उन्होंने जस्ट फोन किया कि मैं अभी फ्री हो गया हूँ, कर रहा हूँ ज्वाइन, तो इसलिए मैंने
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा।
जी। डॉक्टर रितिका, प्रोफेसर सुब्रमण्यम का फोन आ गया था, वो कर रहे ज्वाइन, एक दूसरी मीटिंग चल रही थी।
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
ऑनलाइन ने एंगेजमेंट भी बढ़ाई है और प्रोडक्टिविटी भी बढ़ाई है सर।
बिल्कुल।
Yes, sir.
अब आप इमेजिन करें कि माय टुडेज स्पीकर ही हैज जस्ट फिनिश्ड अनदर मीटिंग एंड विल बी ज्वाइनिंग दिस मीटिंग
यू
since
आर राइट।
morning. This is my fifth program which I am attending online. Between
बिल्कुल।
attended program and spoken in 3 programs, so online has increased huge productivity, sir. You need
हाँ
not to move anywhere, sit on your chair, work for
बिल्कुल।
your office, and in between keep on learning and keep on attending programs. Professor Subramaniam, good evening to you.
Sir, you are on mute.
Surabhan,
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I'll just
Good
share
evening, good evening,
my
sir.
presentation. You
Yes,
need
sir.
permission for sharing?
Yes, sir. Just a
Yes,
minute.
sir.
Uttam, sir, we can make Subramaniam, sir, the presenter.
Thank you, Ritaka. I think I want to contact you, but I could not do it today.
Yes, sir. No issue, sir. Sir, now you are the presenter.
Yeah, okay. So I will share.
See the list of participants from Assam, from
Oh,
Manipur, from Mumbai, from Sholapur, from Kolhapur, from Sirsa.
very
Kashmir
good.
I have already referred. Kerala I have already referred. See the kind of the diversity in the demographic profile which the participants are joining. So many of working teachers, directors, working professionals. I was just thinking that if you see the profile, right from students to teachers at one end, from professionals working in private to government, and working professionals to superannuated people, and people from defense to civil society. Almost all kind of profile we have in this audience, and very serious people.
1 minute, sir. Let me share.
Yes, sir.
So once you test this system, then we will start, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Dear participants, in between, I wanted to apprise you that 7 more webinars are already notified, and 2-3 webinars in pipeline, which will get notified for the month of December, January, and February. Those who have not registered for those webinars, I will request to all of you to please go on the site and register for those webinars. I'm just sharing the link of that link where you can go click and immediately register for that. Second, under this webinar, IEEE is one of the main sponsoring organizations, technical sponsor, under the banner of which these webinars are being organized. In addition to that, there are many other societies like Institution of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers, like Computer Society of India, like Institution of Information Technology Professionals. So those who are not member of these professional societies, I think for many people, I could see the IET membership. But if you are not member to these professional societies, I will request you to please join the membership. I am sharing the link of IEEE membership. If you have so far not, you may visit this web page and join the membership. So we are now ready, Dr. Ritika.
Yes, sir.
We
Subramaniam,
should
sir,
start.
we can see the slides.
You can see the slides. Then, okay, let us start.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. A very good evening to all distinguished panelists and participants. I welcome you all to today's webinar on education for anyone, anytime, and anywhere, NEP 2020 and beyond. A very good evening to all distinguished panelists and participants. Bharti Vidyapeeth's Institute of Computer Applications and Management, BVI CAM, in association with Computer Science Chapter of IEEE Delhi Section, Consultants Network Affinity, CNA Group of IEEE Delhi Section, Life Member Affinity, LMA Group of IEEE Delhi Section, Inter-Society Relations, IRS Standing Committee of IEEE Delhi Section, Industry Relations and Site Standing Committee of IEEE Delhi section, with the Associations of Computer Society of India, SAFA Society, ISTE Delhi section, and IETE Delhi Center, welcomes you all to this webinar on Education for All, Anytime, Anywhere, and Beyond, NEP 2020 and beyond. Nelson Mandela stated that it is not beyond our power to create a world in which all children have access to a good education. This quote indicates the importance for anyone, anywhere, and anytime. Thinking schools and learning nations is to be the new paradigm. Education aims to mold the minds of tomorrow. Educated person is one who possesses values, the proper mindset, knowledge, skills, a responsive member of the family, a useful person in the society, and a good citizen of a good country. The new economy is built on technology, particularly fast advancing technologies like info communication, the new revolutions in the life sciences, speed, flexibility, and nimbleness in seizing market opportunities will be critical. Marrying of entrepreneur talents and technological expertise is crucial. In the thinking schools and learning nation concepts are based on desired outcomes of education, such as values, skills, attribute to be accrued at different stages of education. The webinar is aimed today to discuss all these challenging issues which will be critical to achieve the desired outcome for the learners. I would first take this opportunity to welcome amongst us our distinguished panelists for the day. We are privileged to have amongst us a galaxy of experts. I would welcome amongst us Professor M.N. Huda, Director, Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Computer Applications and Management, and I would now request Sir to address the participants with his welcome address.
Good evening to one and all. At the outset, let me welcome our very honored and valued speaker, Professor K. Subramaniam today. He is amongst us. He is a former chairperson of IEEE Delhi section, former Deputy Director General of National Informatics Center, Government of India. So many other affiliations, I can't name all of those, but it's my privilege to welcome him for this particular webinar. My dear friends, I also take this opportunity to welcome all the participants from different parts of the country and abroad, whether it is in north or east, whether it is south or west, and 2-3 participants which I am seeing from Middle East as well. So I take this opportunity to welcome you all for this 53rd webinar of IEEE Delhi section and Bharati Vidyapeeth series weekly evening webinar series. Dr. Ritika has already enumerated all other affiliations like Institution of Electronics and Telecom Engineers, like Indian Society for Technical Educations, etc., etc. I take this opportunity to especially acknowledge the presence of the very senior professors here, like Professor P.S. Grover, Professor Abdul Qayyum Ansari from Jamia Millia Islamia, Dr. M.H. Kori, the Vice President of Institution of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineer, as well as the Chairperson of the Technical Program and Publicity Committee of IET, Dr. Niranjan Prasad, the very senior member of IET and part of the National Governing Council, and many people. I can't name them. I can just see the list of the attendees is so heavyweight today, possibly the topic which we have opted. My dear friends, this topic is very important, and the topic says that how to ensure education for anyone, anytime, and anywhere. I remember around 20 years ago when I started talking on e-commerce related topics, then we used to say services, affordable services to anyone, anytime, anywhere at a much affordable rate. And probably the same situation has come now, and this will be discussed in light of the National Education Policy NEP 2020. Where are we heading now? Before giving you a little introduction of the topic, because this topic is very close to my heart as well, we have worked last almost 2 years very closely on this topic, and last 1.5 years after announcement of this policy by the government of India, very closely on this particular subject. We had organized many programs prior to also on this topic, but I would like to sensitize you. All of us are meeting online. This meeting online is a blessing in disguise, because at one end we are talking of COVID, now we are talking of Omicron. But had that Omicron not been, or had that COVID not have touched the world maybe from beginning of the 2020, possibly this kind of successful webinars would not have seen the light of the day. So that is a blessing in disguise, and that's how I keep on saying that around 60 years old couplet of Bashir Badr is very valid in today's time, that कोई हाथ भी न मिलाएगा जो गले मिलोगे तपाक से, कोई हाथ भी न मिलाएगा जो गले मिलोगे तपाक से, ये कोरोना का जमाना है जरा फासले से मिला करो. Let's meet with a distance, and with that distance we are meeting. Still we are feeling that we are meeting face to face, and only the warmth of meeting each other personally is not present. Rest everything is present. My dear friends, this topic on which the today's webinar has been organized is in the backdrop of NEP 2020, which has just been announced. All of us know that almost since last 3-4 years, Industrial Revolution 4.0, that is the pure digital age, is touching us in one or other way. If you go back to almost a decade, we have seen that the kind of the software applications which has started coming in last 1 decade has disrupted everything in and around us, and disrupted to the extent possible that possibly even a 50 years old, 5 decades, 6 decades old traditional business strategies are no more valid, and new business models are coming up. That's how I keep on saying that the basic philosophy of Industrial Revolution 4.0 is that the technology will be a facilitator and enabler, but the business model needs to change. And when I'm talking of business model need to change, you are also aware, if you have heard me earlier, I keep on saying that there is nothing constant in this world except change. And if we do not change ourselves upfront, possibly the changing ecosystem will change us. And that's how it is said that इंसान घर बदलता है, लिबास बदलता है, रिश्ते बदलता है, दोस्त बदलता है, फिर भी परेशान क्यों रहता है, क्योंकि हम खुद को नहीं बदलते. And that's how a great poet Ghalib said that उम्र भर गालिब यही भूल करता रहा, धूल चेहरे पे थी और मैं आईना साफ करता रहा. My dear friends, the kind of the recommendation which has come up with NEP 2020, there may be many apprehensions, there may be many problems, but we have to see that how and which way the positive aspect, the beauty of this NEP 2020 is to be utilized. And that is where I was talking that when changes has when changes had generated a huge impact, all-round impact on all business processes, education is not going to remain an exception. How can we afford to keep as an academia in isolation out of this all changes happening in the ecosystem? So what is the message here? Message is that academia also need to change, and change proactively. That's how it is said that the academic world, all of us are part of that academic world, are supposed to be futuristic, supposed to be adaptive to changes, and that too in a proactive manner, as education is no exception. And education is also the part of the same kind of services which many other service industry are bound to change because of disruptive applications. And my dear friends, under this change, the traditional process, the century-old traditional processes of teaching, learning process for academia, this is the business process, right? So traditional teaching, learning process of our academic system are going to be disrupted, and the process has already started. If I ask you that maybe around 18 months ago, maybe till March 2020, how many of us were in a position to take online classes? How many of us were aware about digital and online learning platforms? How many of us even were aware, how many of us were using it? hardly few in our country. And since last 3-4 years, I was sensitizing people that gone are old good days when you expect that people will come into the classroom. Now the classroom have to go to the place of the learner, and then learner may join from anywhere, anytime, using any kind of facility, and the classroom, the teachers will reach to their doorstep with the help of the technology. That COVID-19 has implemented that change a little earlier than what we expected to be implemented, or what we expected to be brought under this umbrella. This is just a beginning of the major technological transformation in the education sector, my dear friends. In fact, the entire teaching learning system is going to be changed in a much bigger way. Gone are those old good days in which the teachers used to force students to maintain 75% attendance, coming in physically into the classroom, making students to follow him or her desperately for some pieces of notes, and that too maybe decades old torn pieces, asking students forcibly to join all activities irrespective of his or her interest or choice. Will now be all these will now be the good stories of the past. Under the changing ecosystem, educational processes will have to be as flexible as possible to meet the customized needs of every learner. Now the concept of students are also going. The concept of students are basically and primarily is the learner. Future teachers will have to assume the role of facilitator, coordinator, moderator, supervisor, etc., etc., but cannot afford to remain just a tutor. Teaching learning processes will have to be designed in such a way that the students are active learners and teachers are facilitators. Existing practices in which we teachers decide the course curriculum. For any degree or diploma program, for the learners to study will have to go away, and will have to be, and the flexibility will have to be brought into the system in such a way. This flexibility need to be infused in the system to that extent that a student should be empowered enough of selecting necessary and sufficient number of courses from various baskets, which may be interdisciplinary, maybe cross-disciplinary, or even maybe transdisciplinary. And that's how the NEP 2020 is talking about multidisciplinary institution. NEP 2020 says that single standalone institution will not survive. The multidisciplinary institution need to be established, and that is where we say that if for a 4-year program 200 credits students need to obtain, or maybe for 3 years program 150 credits students need to obtain, so much so that students can decide that out of these 200 credits or out of 150 credits, how many credits from which basket and how many credits from which university. This means that it might be possible that 50 credits from X university, 20 credits from Y university, again 80 credits from Z university, and then may go to some another university and say that Baba, I have obtained 150 credit, you assess it and give me degree. An actual degree, whatever will be awarded, will be based on how many credits from which basket he or she has obtained. Gone are those old good days when students feel that I have enrolled in a BTech program, maybe electronics and communication, and then I'm bound with this, and I have to complete these 4 years, 8 semesters, and these many credits, then only I will get a degree. Otherwise, my 1 year, 2 year, 3 years will become a waste. That recommendation in that way it has come, that it will not be a waste. You may, as a learner, the learner may join in the beginning, could be for a BTech electronics and communication, but maybe after a semester, he realizes that I am not made for this program, but whatever credit he has obtained can club it with some other credits, and finally, maybe after 3 years or 4 years, he may be ending up getting a BA liberal arts degree, or maybe a BCom degree, or maybe a BSc electronics degree. That's the kind of flexibility, that's the kind of the facility which has been introduced, and might go to different institution. That's how the NEP 2020 has also instituted the concept of academic bank credits ABC. So these are the facilities, these are the kind of umbrella activities which could be possible. Ultimately, we have to see that the institution will need to be run as an enterprise. and students will need to be considered as a customer. And exactly that situation is going to happen in coming days, that maybe if there are 10 universities, 2 universities will be over flooded with the students, those who will be providing sufficient flexibility to the learners, and maybe rest of the 8 university will be short of students. There may not be any students going to those universities. The way it happens in open market, that 2 shops are overcrowded with customers, rest of the shops are having no customer. That's the kind of challenge going to come up. So this topic and in the backdrop of these changes are very important. These issues are very important. These concerns are very important, and the new age definition of educated people will not be the old definition what we used to read, that those who can read, write, and speak are considered as educated. Rather, the digital age definition of Industrial Revolution 4.0, which we also now term it as Education 4.0 for academic domain, that learn, unlearn, and relearn. It has to be a continuous phenomena. Learn, unlearn, and relearn. That's the background at which background we have organized this webinar. I'm sure if you pay attention to next 1 hour, the kind of the talk which we have organized will be of immense value addition to every one of you, and every one of you will get benefited. Thank you so much for joining us from different parts of the country and abroad. If you have not registered for our future programs, please register for future programs till February, mid-February. We have already announced, we have already notified 7 of other webinars. Thank you so much, and it is over to you, Dr. Ritika, with this note that वक्त नाजुक है, संभल संभल के रहिए. मैंने अभी जस्ट बता रहा था कि मुंबई में ऑलरेडी 144 लगा दिया गया है, 4 से ज्यादा लोग एक जगह नहीं जाएंगे, बिकॉज न्यू केसेस ऑफ ओमिक्रॉन आर कमिंग. सो इट्स द लिटिल सेंसिटिव टाइम. हमें बहुत सेंसिटिव और बहुत केयरफुल रहने की जरूरत है. सो वक्त नाजुक है, संभल संभल के रहिए, जब तक न हो बहुत जरूरी घर के बाहर ना निकलिए. विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट. स्टे सेफ, स्टे हेल्दी, स्टे वाइब्रेंट, keep learning despite disruptions in and around us. Wish you all the best. God bless you all. Over to you, Dr. Ritika.
Thank you, sir. I would now welcome amongst us our expert speaker, Professor K. Subramaniam, past chair IEEE Delhi section and senior member of IEEE, ACM, Computer Society of India, and FIETE, former senior DVG, NIC, Ministry of Information Technology, and IT advisor to CAG, Government of India. Founder and director and professor ACIIL IGNOU, and author of Education on Demand for Japan, NEP 1997. Dr. K. Subramaniam was the first director and professor at Advanced Center for Informatics and Innovative Learning. He was one of the founder creators of the National Informatics Center under the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, Government of India, and has served there for over 32 years and superannuated as senior DDG. He served as the Information Technology Advisor to CAG of India, Comptroller and Auditor General of India for more than a decade and a half, and currently is serving as Honorary Advisor IT. He has more than 3.5 decades of experience in architecture, design, development, implementation, and audit of technology and systems of the federal, state, districts in the Union of India. He is also currently serving as the technical member in the Quality Council of India for accreditation of the technical skills required by IT and ITES industry on behalf of NASSCAM. He has worked as chair and member of LTD Electronics and Communication and Management System Committee of Bureau of Indian Standards. He has contributed in design of systems and network architecture for national passport, visa, security, police and immigration agencies of the government. As an IT advisor to CAG of India for more than 15 years, he has immensely contributed in development of the ICT infrastructure, capacity building and technical review and e-audit of governance programs in India in the public sector, autonomous bodies, educational institutions of both central and state government. As a capacity building and skill development expert, he was instrumental in the setup of International Center for Information System Audit Academy under the CAG of India, National Institute of Financial Management under Finance Ministry, IDRBT under Reserve Bank of India, SBIICM under State Bank of India, PNB IIT for the Punjab National Bank. I welcome you today to this session, sir, and I would now request you to kindly enlighten the House.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ritika. Thank you very much, Professor Oda, for introducing the subject, which is a very interesting and current subject of demand. And this whole concept has evolved over a period of last 25 years. Because when banks have introduced anytime, anywhere money, we thought that why we should not introduce anytime, anywhere education. There is education on demand. But we have been strongly bifurcated by rich institutions to poor institutions. And the infrastructure is lacking. And suddenly the COVID has changed the entire scenario, as Professor Oda said, that online education started and people are enjoying that education, but maybe possibly there are some shortcomings in that. So what we thought was maybe possibly what are the things NEP 2020 addresses have been outlined by Pankaj Mittal last time for the policy, what are the kind of things it has been covering. So I'm not covering the NEP 2020, but I want to go beyond that also, starting from what we are now and where we are going to reach in the shortest possible time. After the COVID pandemic, we have improved a lot in the infrastructure, we improved a lot in teaching methodologies, we have improved a lot in kind of collaboration learning, we improved a lot in kind of common research and coordination programs. So let us see what kind of things we are in. Maybe possibly this will be interesting there. So let us go to the next slide. Perfect. That is not active for a long time. Okay. Just a minute. It's coming. Okay. So what we thought in our presentation outline today, current education scenario and education demand concept and collaborative architecture, what kind of architecture we should have. Then second thing is we just wanted to give outline of NEP because the time is not there to cover the entire NEP because it was covered earlier. What is the kind of thing beyond NEP and what our conclusion things are. So we see the kind of, the environmental change, the fourth wave. We have, when the first wave is primitive society, the agricultural revolution happened. Second wave is agricultural society. Third wave is industrial society. Fourth wave is information society. Now we are heading towards ubiquitous society. I think this is what intelligent integration of physical space and cyberspace by ubiquitous technology. I think this is the kind of thing that is changing the environment, which is called a fourth wave and 4.0. I think what we talk about India case, I'm not ridiculing anything, but I'm only giving the facts before you. It may not be true for all institutions, but it's true in general. The not-for-profit nature of the $40 billion IES deterred for private participation or inability to transform the education process itself. So that is one of the things we failed. We failed in that kind of scalability to reach the model, process-driven model, which were not adopted earlier. So the investment response forces players with credibility, the management intent and ability, capital built to last, the creativity to manage the over-regulated environment, content to be differentiated and build annuity. I think that segment of education services, what Professor Oda has said, is largest inefficiencies and highest of the kind. The largest capitalist base in India with 30 billion government spend, 3.7% of GDP earlier at a global average. A large network of 1 million schools and 18,000 higher education institutes. Yet the public education system is insufficient and inefficient, leading education hungry and affluent Indians to spend 50 billion on private education. We are going out of country for reading. Higher education as well as even bachelor's education they start going. So I think the sad state of affairs is education, the higher and tertiary reduced to teaching classes against the board and university examinations. It's not for learning. It's how much you can reproduce from the thing what you heard about lectures, and that the examination system is being conducted. So we have to reform the whole process of teaching, learning as well as examination evaluation system. no agility in syllabus earlier. And students are programmed like artificial intelligence system to answer questions. I think this is what exactly happened earlier. University education is no longer learning centric. Students are contrived of university examinations. Aim is securing high percentages, not promoting learning and scholarship. Good teachers, well-intentioned institutions have little say. Teaching to prepare students for exams removes the teacher from engaging students in learning activities. Education not connected with developments, be there in the scientific or socio-economic sense. India International Math Olympiad rank fell from 25th in 2007 to 31st in 2008. China is first, South Korea is second. Why? What has happened? Why we have lost our leading areas? Let me see that. Professor Vijay Gupta's observation, some of the things are good. The antiquated affiliation university setup is a major issue to us because affiliating universities, we have a lot of governance problems we have. The affiliation university setup has completely eroded the different teacher learning process. A teacher in affiliated college today is one of the most pathetic figures imaginable. He does not have any control on what he teaches. He does not have any control on what students learn, because what students learn is controlled totally by what is examined on. An external examination system suffocates any initiative by a teacher in improving the course of his delivery. A very large portion of our engineering education establishment is driven now by purely short-sighted commercial consideration. I think very true in some respects. And almost complete absence of faculty with any passion for teaching. In fact, most of us have never seen what a good teacher can do to excite students. I think we need a kind of innovation in teaching. Today, teaching is seen as a kind of last choice of professionals for graduating students. Because this, I think, is actually a real picture, but situations are changing slowly, and we are also trying to see environments are different. So education is not about coaching students against board or university examination. Today, no agility in syllabus. Students are programmed artificial to answer questions. Make education learner-centric. Get out of the cramming students to pass conceived examination. Promote learning and scholarship. Bring teachers to the center of the education system. I think very important aspect. Teacher is the center of the education system. They and the system to engage students in learning activities. Designed to impart requisite understanding and skill sets. Equip learners to tackle related real-world problems. I think this is very important aspect of solving real-world problems. While you are learning, learn to solve the problems of real world and developments in the subject areas. Link education with developments. Very important aspect. Be there in the scientific or socio-economic sense. So quality education to all independent of geography. That's our motto now. Enable, educate, and empower every citizen and community through knowledge. Most importantly, connect education to community empowerment and development, socio-economic as well as promoting values and scholarship. How do we ensure our system delivers quality education? I think very important aspect of that, not by education. So the governance system, quality control system has to be established here. We plan to use all available modes of learners engagement in the course to provide a holistic education in every subject. So you just see the kind of virtual university concept. This is what I think in 2013, Government of India thought that we will set up a virtual university. When Delhi became a crisis, we have cut off percentage of Delhi students passing out examination of class 12 is nearly 87 to 88. What about the other students? Where will join? Other parts of the country they will go. So we have to provide a continuous education system for all those who want to learn. So the core competence universities like IISc universities, IITs, NITs, and other institutions, international institutions to come together, to work together as a kind of collaborative agreement. Central hub of our universities to coordinate, organize, schedule, broadcast, manage, maintain infrastructure, storage, delivery system through learning programs. Remote classes. This is what I think we have been very familiar now with. All classes are remote classes now. And content development. Who will develop the contents of the curriculums which has been developed? How will you qualify a teacher? Is a certification program is there for them? I think especially for engineering students, we are trying to develop a certification program based on the NPTEL certification system. I think this is exactly the kind of things what beneficiaries of applied colleges, study centers, learning centers, individual students, village panchayats, knowledge centers. I think this is what exactly the kind of things which has been talked about in virtual university concept. We'll see how we are going to talk about that. Need for educational grid alliance. I think power grid is there. The deficiency is there, there's going to compensate. The efficiency is there, is going to share. Right? So the same thing concept we are going to bring to the education area. It's called education grid alliance concept. We are one of the youngest nations, according to observers. India has potential to create over 1 million trained people 2022, which is over 4 times of the global workforce. The biggest opportunity for India would become from education revolution that we must undertake as our most important national endeavor. I think this is what NEP talked about. NEP is trying to bring a change, but still NEP is a challenge to implement because even though AICT is taking a lot of initiatives to see that how can we implement as fast as possible. The world of education is undergoing a rapid and quiet transformation. How do we in India take advantage of rapid advances in ICT and e-learning and synthesize a new framework of providing quality education to all independent of geography? Wherever you are, however you are, whatever devices you have, we will be in a position to learn the courses, learn the system. The learning system is going to be compatible to all the devices what we have. That's why my concept and the title I have designed like that. So for our 20 years, we talk about e-learning. Really what we achieved. Plenty of technology has come. And whole world is new internet services application, Google and ever improving search engines, open source systems, LMS, scientific databases, open content, open access, publishing ebooks, all the things are going to be coming up, is coming up very fast now. Google's slogan is my other computer is a data center. So that means education courseware is going to be a kind of data center where shareable resources are available, education resources system. Increasing reach and affordability. I think cost of education, we want to reduce it as much as possible so that poor people can also get educated. So how do we go ahead from connectivity and content to formal systems of technical assisted learning, teaching and evaluation, quality and quality assured instruction? Very, very important aspect of this, being covered some portion in NEP, but we are going to go beyond that. So demand of education, global perspective. Really, if we see the kind of so many people are giving the 100 million more children to be given primary education, where you will go for the schools? Schools are not there. Infrastructure is not there in the villages. Maybe we have to create, takes a lot of time and effort and money. So 2 billion individuals, adult population to be made literate, at least to help them to shape their adaptation to social and cultural changes. Very, very important aspect of adult education. To meet annual demand of higher education growing at the rate of 8.3%, arising out of LCDs, least the common developing nations. So really, I think if you see the kind of things, what we are going to talk about is educational services. I think Professor Voda has introduced the concept of education services. Need for categories. So retraining of long-term unemployed. Women and girls of the humanity gender gap to be reduced. Out of work use require vocational training. Educating refugees and immigrants and non-nationals, 125 million people live away from their country of origin. I think we need to kind of educate them to the extent possible so that they can their livelihood. So really, I think what we are going to build about, what we are going to talk about India at 75, the world's largest pool of trained manpower, the world's leaders in industry and commerce. India accounts for 10% of the world trade. India is a source of global innovations. Focus on bottom-up pyramid. There is a source of innovations for world leaders in health, education, energy, transportation, sustainable development for all. Flowering of art, literature and science, 10 Nobel Prizes from India. Nobel Prizes from India. A new moral voice for people around the world. India is a country where universality inclusiveness is widely practiced. India becomes the most benchmark country for its capacity to accept and benefit from its diversity. I think diversity is a thing which is going to be enormously economical benefit for us, me. So what we need, innovations in IC as an enabler, need for more professional teachers, where to go for, how do we skill them, how to reskill them, how to relearn them, and relearn them. That's what he said. Reskilling and retraining of teachers for new needs, and new tools, new technologies for teaching and learning. Retention of teachers, how do you keep the teachers on their life, their interest in learning? I think very, very interesting aspect of retention of teachers, what kind of benefits you can give, what kind of platforms you provide. New education delivery system, multimodal, interactive and integrated learning systems, continuous improvement of communication and presentation skills, very, very important aspect. Knowledge may be there, presentation skills may be less. So communication, personal communication and professional communication, very important aspect. Change in evaluation assessment. It is not grabbing, it is not reproducing what you learned, but it is a kind of what you understood, what you can practice, what kind of problems you can solve in the real-time world. Keep the interest in learning, because students lose the interest in learning fast. So we have to keep them engaged all the time by innovations and innovative concepts. So I think let us understand ICT. I think we are talking about ICT. ICT has done a lot of things to us. We have been the beneficiary of all the things. The role of technology is to bridge the gulf between the available information and the ability to use it. That's what Enric is in this some time back. So what about thing is 1, 2, 3, 4? The kind of 4 components we are going to talk about here, which is going to be connected by a bus. The people and systems collect data, generate, organize information. That's one set. Number 2, people and systems that disseminate and communicate information. Second set. Then people and systems that create value using information. That is knowledge dissemination series. People and systems manage the ICT. So I think this is the model. This is conceptualized for quality education linked to development. Next, we'll see what we need. A new technology enabled robust framework. What kind of frameworks we have? How to make it robust? A strong and quality assured delivery system channel. A digital repository of quality certified learning resources, multimedia, multimodal, multilingual. Very, very interesting thing. Adaptable to pace and depth of learning of capacity of learners. I think somebody may be learning fast, somebody may be learning slow. Pace of learning is different. How do you match them? The good feedback responsive system with supported automated workflow and robust database system. Very, very important aspect of backend system support. Multimodal delivery system depends on the local availability. Support to multi-type of learning devices and environments. A continuous assessment system to assess the learners, not one-time examination, not quarterly, half-yearly, annual examination. A continuous availability of mentors and counselors on demand. Very, very important aspect of mentoring concept. I think people have to be mentored. And local content requirement to be addressed. I think we need to content local language input, local resources for that. Upload capability of local content developed by learners and teachers. A good assessment system of quality of the local contents and constant revision of syllabus to address the local demand and supply. Demand supply management. I think very, very important aspect of where the demand is, you have to supply the resources and the delivery system there. So reaching the unreached and the fear of the unknown. Why teachers fear? Because teachers fear that technology will replace them tomorrow, but they are not going to be replaced at all. Because we need teachers, we need groomers, we need the kind of innovators. Technology is an enabler, but it's not a substitute for teachers. Remove the fear of unknown. I think I've been addressing a lot of teachers in Delhi University, and they find that they will be replaced tomorrow by machines, maybe possibly artificial intelligence systems. They are no longer needed, but personal touch of teachers is a very important aspect. The way in which you clarify things to the students is very important. So however that is deep drilling, I think the personal touch is very important there. Interaction delivery system can change. It is not one-way delivery of lectures, but it's integrated interaction between learners and teachers. That's what I think, Professor, what I said. Everyone is a learner. Everyone is a teacher. I think learning teaching concept is a kind of concept is coming up in a big way. Multimedia exposures makes teaching made easier. At the same time, it empowers the teachers and learners. I think everybody learns through the multimedia systems. Teachers and learners use the same medium of internet and web. I think this is a kind of delivery of services going to be web and internet. And best course notes on any subject made available to knowledgeable enrichment. Anywhere in the world is the best course notes is going to be shareable to all other teachers and students. So you see the kind of objectives of education. I think he talked about an introduction itself, that what we need is kind of things is to make graduates employable. We produce a lot of graduates, but not employable. I think I've been seeing so many engineers are employed by 8,000, 9,000 rupees. Or some of them get 40,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupees. I think there's a differentiation between them. I think we have to make graduates employable. Very important aspect of skill development, personality development, professional communication development, and a change, adaptation environment. To be productive on the job and in life. Very, very important aspect of that. Because after all, we are going to live by the means of professional achievements. To observe real-world problems, abstract the issues, and apply what they have learned, the initiate sense to solve them. I think real-world problem solving is a very important exercise there. So 3 dimensions of quality education we are going to just list it out. One is quality instruction set in a community-driven learning framework. Second is foundation concepts, contextual skills. Third is professional competence and maturity. Fourth is self-development, responsibility, and accountability. I think we have to establish the kind of accountability, responsibility, and self-development processes in the environmental infrastructure what we have. So situation today, we have learners of diverse group. We have separated by space, separated by time, processes different peer learning skills, new educational training needs. I think the fellow from the village type comes and join IIT, he will be lost somewhere. Because the fellow from cities are going to be more knowledgeable than what this fellow came talk about because he knows only local language. He doesn't know how to communicate in English. He doesn't know how to observe even what is taught in the class. So the first half, what we are talking about there is starting schools and finishing schools. Finishing schools are started now. Starting schools also very important. Balancing the kind of skill, prayer learning skills, very, very important aspect. I think people are going to give more thought to this. New educational training needs. We need training for all levels, not only at the bottom level, but not only at the top level. So what we need infrastructure, flexible infrastructure, global in reach, interactive infrastructure, affordable infrastructure, the cost of teaching. So I think the curriculum, if you talk about what I talked about curriculum, I think standardization of curriculum, very, very important aspect. I thought as many companies have standardization of curriculum across the world for the subject in IT areas, especially some specific areas of ICT. And communication, problem solving, working together, self-learning. These are the four universal values, pillars of this curriculum to address. So what curriculum reform we need? Impact of social changes. It changes the curriculum. Rigorous, attractive, enabling to retain study, students' interest in learning. I think we need to keep them interest. Like what is said, even IITs should be joined, BTech. The students should be given flexibility to take their engineering subject discipline. There are so many credits for these core subjects, elective subjects. If you finish these credits, you will get a degree. This is what exactly the flexible credit system, the flexible management system for students. They will not be compartmentalized as a BTech in mechanical, civil, and electrical, or electronics and computer science and IT, right? They will give the freedom to select whatever they want to learn. I think this is what the kind of thing is going to happen. If not now, maybe another 5 years' time. It's going to happen shortly, suddenly. Rigorous in demands of intellectual and skill challenges. Appropriate balance of subject skills and knowledge, skills and team learning and value respect. Very, very important aspect of it. So I'll come back to ethics of learning. Give added value and fitness of purpose. Very, very interesting aspect of curriculum reforms. So the curriculum change in standardization. I think if, say for example, we have collaborated with Tamil Nadu University for software engineering, right? Many of the universities are in India. Globalizing education delivery system. Removing self-serving interest, domination, superiority, and control. I think what we are trying to tell here is students who cannot join IITs, IIM, they'll get the same curriculum, same course in elsewhere in the university system or institutional system. I think we are trying to make the barrier breaking of superior institutions in the country, the world. I think this is exactly the kind of concept of boundaries are going to be broken. I think this is what I think we are talking about here. Removing self-serving interest, domination, superiority, and control. Cost reduction in course and media preparation, very costly. Media preparation of courseware, case study system. Even India case study system is not in management studies itself. Higher quality assurance and experts involvement, very, very interesting aspect. The experts are there. They have to be collaborative and higher quality assurance we have to give. Distributed decentralization subject expertise. I think we have to get variety of subject decentralization of subject expertise we have to utilize. So what we are talking about, manage education services. I think very, very interesting aspect of services, educational service. Now, how we manage education service? Very, very important. Then we'll go to governance. Integrated open course guide. Very, very interesting thing. Discussion forums, calendar, email, mobile, and other services. TV and webinar sessions, community radio sessions, filing assignments of undergraduate areas, query management system, counselor support and web mentoring system, online library multimedia publishing system, regional study center support system. I think part by university, part by managed service provider. I think it's a collaboration between the two, not only from the university system, but also from service provider. So I think now we come to the assessment, maturity rating of this education demand. So is it going to be the same? No, it's not going to be the same. Because 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star. I think it's like a star hotel categorization we are also making. Star hotel category the courses, right? 1 star description blocks, units, links to applications and resources. Counseling plan, calendar course events, seminars, TV seminars, self-test monitoring. That is second star. 2 star institutions. 3 star institutions have assured engagement at least 70% of modules. Concept map, active learning support, and learner feedback. 4 star is assured outcome assessed. Engagement in at least 70% of modules, individual group and feedback. I think very, very interesting aspect. 5 star is going to combine all the things and give a kind of students graduation level. And above 3 star, graduates will be competitive and fit in the global job market. So I think we talk about national education grid. I think this is the kind of things we are architecture we are talking about here. Say we are talking about schools, we are talking about colleges, we are talking about study centers, we are talking about premier institutions. They are going to be supporters for this kind of developments. I think we have like data center concept of 5 tiers. We have made a 5 tier system of architecture here. You just see the kind of 5 tiers. Tier 1, ICT infrastructure, the communication and content service providers. Tier 2, systems and applications over clouds and internet. Tier 3, contents and web resources integrated in NPTEL and other courses. Academic management, Tier 3. Tier 4 is content alignment and capacity building. Tier 5 is the instruction, practice, evaluation management, college study center. I think existing mentors. So I think we shall see the kind of each of the 5 layers require different ownership and MSPs. Very, very interesting aspect of the kind of data center concept we are trying to bring about things in educational grid and gateway services. Access system, which is going to be a 5 tier concept here. So this is what exactly I talked about here of managing affiliated colleges and study center, the Tier 5. So establishing education grid is going to be the important aspect of like power grid. We are going to have education grid. So infrastructure of education grid, leveraging on NK and NME. So you just see the kind of things what we have. We already have standalone excellence. We are going to have collaborative excellence here. See, this is exactly the kind of core network of national gigabyte VPNs over OFC networks. So we have regional networks, we have local networks. So I think what we are talking about regional broadband access network promoted under national mission on education. I think this is what exactly we are talking about. And we have a lot of databases. So I was in the committee for Department of Biotechnology for biodiversification. So many databases are there which is not standardized. So we are going to work on, we worked on standardization of the specifications of the kind of databases so that people can use it. So regional broadband access networks, I think we just see the kind of national knowledge network, heritage and portal services, each college study center to get asymmetric broadband, their portals in the cloud facility for the RTGA, results in lower cost per node, which assure quality of services. I think this is what we are trying to expect, outcome of this kind of regional broadband access networks. So you just see a kind of things what we are going to have education innovation practices. I think very, very interesting aspect here. So one is integrated smart RCW, regional control services, tech enabled study centers, NEP2020 and data center DIT concept, video sound and web studios, regional programs and services, entrepreneurship and development of technical incubation, and community radio and TV uplink. And this is exactly if you integrate this kind of things, function possible under FFP market. That means it is going to be a PPP model. It's not a normal PPP model. It is not a public-private partnership. It is private-public partnership. So private sector is going to play a larger role. And they are going to be participating in every activity. And PPP model is going to be redefined. So all universities and formal education programs try their own separate cloud network data centers. Data centers may be owned by and managed by private players. All agree on an Indian profile of standardized systems and applications. And integrated currently using a few instances of Polaris and virtual contains over enterprise class servers, virtual system for each. Top of this is MySQL, Drupal, CMS, and Apache for hosting the web services. Applications are typically Wiki, Moodle, a digital library suite, mobile gateways, video streaming, database, etc. Care taken to ensure that applications are W3C compliant and access through different browsers under a common OS. Very, very important aspect of standardization there. An incubator for promoting education services. Incubator is essential. Like what we have started about incubator for entrepreneurship. Now incubator for education services we need. So see the kind of things, turning updating university system to advantage. So what we have lost in updating university system control, we are going to gain here. So colleges conduct courses as per the OCG. Each of them will use their own LMS and other tools. Teachers in different colleges of the same university collaborate with CEO through LMS maintained in the university. Both CEG and teachers are guided by open course guide. Inexperienced teachers may choose and encourage to undergo certificate of proficiency. I think very, very interesting aspect of teacher education conducted by the All India University level. Certified teachers in a subject carry out evaluation of their own class in their subject and act as feedback to students. And such systems generate large pool of good teachers over time. OCG also promises varieties of students' engagement in learning activity. So I think from NPTEL, because NPTEL is one of the best video sources we have, but it's not made on any curriculum. So we have to take the output from there and integrate it with the curriculum what we design. I think this is what, and this is going to be a certification process for the teachers, so that they can be trained and they can be given freedom to evaluate and educate the students. So I think this is what exactly in 2013, very interesting thing happened by MHRD. They gave 100 crores to IIT Kanpur to start a virtual university, right? But unfortunately, it didn't take off for the last 7 years. But now NEP has come, is going to talk about many things of this kind of integration of institutions. So integrate with modified NEP or assuring quality. So I think great opportunity for educational economics. I think if people talk about education is going to be a costly affair. So education economics I'm going to talk about. I'm going to give you a model system here. Imagine the scope for revenue base. Let us say we charge 100 rupees per month or 500 rupees for a whole semester for long course. Assured technical and learning services and courses per year. Minimum engineering students. The pool comes to 10 billion crores a year. I think this is a cost. This is a subject of revenue we are going to talk about, even if we charge 100 rupees per month. Not very costly, right? The scope is much more. A whole new world of open education with India leading the way while solving its present intractable problem. IOCG driven EOD framework assures all students quality learning-centric program education. EOD gives the system of formal education to technical edge. It is also liberate learners by allowing to take courses from different universities and get the degrees from any university of their choice by transfer of credits. This is what I think academic backup system is talking about. But who will go to some university to get the degree? They'll all go to IITs to get the degree, right? Because IIT degree is much more valuable than others. So naturally, I think credit bank system is going to be talking about. It's a good concept, but how you implement it is the question. Let me see the next one. So changing accreditation regulatory system, I think very, very interesting aspect. I think NEP talked about many of the things of assessment system change. And let us talk about detail in this. It's a separate lecture by itself, quality assurance and education system. So it is time we get out of the present weak system of education that is reduced to covering the syllabus and conducting mass exam. As for Indian tradition, true man-making education is built upon 3 processes. One is Sravana, next is Manana, third is Nityasana. I think we understand, we learn, we teach. I think the UOD framework set of national education grid is a practical way to support quality education through technology-enabled learning. It is time to give learners a greater options than what is offered by university college through open access courses to them. The end of character education is a character. That's what Sai Baba said. So let me see. What is expected from national and international professional societies? See, we are going to talk about collaboration here. So to work for global mission standards in every sector of educational research and sustainable development. To evolve, propagate good practices to achieve better productivity, efficiency, and efficacy. To provide empowerment to citizens and create the framework program to achieve the Millennium Development Goals of the United Nations. To achieve Six Sigma using new and emerging technology to make every citizen a knowledge worker. Joint contribution, what is the kind of expected from partner education institutions, universities, national and global? Joint contribution of national knowledge network, digital warehouse, courseware. Mutually agreeable quality norms for digital multimedia contents and evaluation assessment. Joint ownership for shareable courseware to cover quality education for all. To establish a referral national open knowledge university. I think it's like a kind of open knowledge resource, open knowledge education, knowledge university may be created. What is expected? This is what is expected from partnering education institution, national and global. Now, I think what is a kind of concept we are going to talk about, need for alliances. One is cost sharing economy. Next is changing enrollment patterns. Third is cross-sharing courses. Fourth is curricular demands. So I think variety of academic talent for short period of time we need. So short-term staff resources, sharing staff resources. I think need for alliances is going to be the scenario tomorrow. Need for the hour is a mix of all the 3 functions. One is facilitating a learning environment. There's facilitators. That's what I think Professor Oda said. Second is support the learners as a broker. So you will know where to look for, what to do best knowledgeable resource for the subject concern. Coordinating the process and development of materials. Very, very interesting aspect. These are the need of a mix of all 3 functions. This is what I think education grading gateway system is going to work. So I think there are 3 successful alliances already in the world. Let us say about how the successful recommend partnership alliances, National Technology University, BSA, the Open Learning Foundation of UOLA and the Open Education System of OLA of Australia. The kind of alliances here, maybe they are not degree granting university. Degree will be granted by the other examination system and so on. I think there are a lot of differential models here. Three alliances are working in the world. Maybe we have to adopt the mix and match of both. What is beneficial to us, what is suitable for us. So current collaborations, relationship to the institution which own the curriculum and credits in non-intervention in the curricula assessment areas. Passive in academic decision making. Active in business orientation. Very interesting thing because Professor Oda said there to be entrepreneurs we have to produce. How will we produce entrepreneurs? Only for professionalism. I think active in business orientation. Compared to national jurisdictions today, current collaborations, but I think we are going to open up there. I think already NEP talked about that international collaboration on this. Partnership transcending national boundaries should not be simply following the business Malaysia venture of Australian, Canadian, British University. They failed because they are business ventures. They are profit center sharing, but they are not educators. I think this is what exactly happened in the kind of collaboration agreement with Malaysia venture of Australian, Canadian, British University. So what is the 21st learning systems will witness more private participation? I think complementarity, mission clarity and articulation, institutional commitment, government and community support, organizational structure, leadership. That should have the vision of global development and meet the international community needs. I think this is what we are looking for, the kind of thing. Learning system will witness private participation. So what are the kind of partnerships are going to be driven by? Student volume and economics, learner choice and autonomies, mobility of jobs and people exploration of knowledge and technology, interdependency and universalization of strategy for survival of all. Cannot be about territorial preservation. That means boundaries are going to be broken there. So I think the professional pyramid, what we are talking about, the vision layer, solution layer, value-added layer, maybe brick and mortar layer at the top, bottom, basic concepts and skills, DMS and planners, conceptualization designers, technology is going to be the backbone, domain expertise we need, and basic concepts and skills we need. I think this is exactly kind of professional pyramid we are going to build. So I think what we are going to achieve on this, to make learning and knowledge a social and economic activity. Acquisition of knowledge is lifelong learning we talked about. Technology is a solution to demand for learning and create new possibilities to make it happen. So the demand of diverse learners is going to address diversity of goals, diversity of context, demand for higher education, renewal of employee skills in service sector at all levels, including education demand supply perspective, reskilling and retraining of employees arising due to economic structural changes, leading new social demand. This I think we are going to put skilling, reskilling, and de-skilling and reskilling. That's what I think Professor Oda said about earlier. So change of immersing learners in quality learning environment. I think how do you immerse them? How do you make them? I think people competences and communication feelings, institutional social interaction judgment and estimation and people's real world. I think these are tacit processes. Explicit processes, codified knowledge processes are accessible over the net and paper, and maybe global network information conceptual base. I think this is at the end of the learning effort. Learners should be able to understand, say, I understand, and add to his tacit capabilities. I think what he needs is the outcome of this system is going to be he understood what has been taught there. Okay. So I think education technology information services is going to be a kind of scenario. New services going to happen. You just see that online study guide, discussion forums, online calendar, and alert systems, TV and webinar sessions, community radio sessions. So this is going to be the kind of concept of coming up, the kind of education technology and information services. So joint contribution, what is the kind of expert from partnering education institutions, universities, national and global? Joint contribution to nursing knowledge development, digital warehouse, mutually agreeable quality norms, joint ownership of charitable course, therefore quality of education for all. Perhaps is the level national open university. I think they are talking about this, setting up a kind of a referral university. So I think more to be done. If the poor cannot come to education, education must lead them at the plow, in the factory, everywhere. So education, that's what I think Professor Oda said in the beginning itself. Education go to the learners, not learners to come to educate. I think this is the kind of thing Swami Vivekananda said this. This is what I think really we are going to see. The technology is going to enable it. With the CKE, the integrated quality and inclusive quality education opportunities for all aspiring youth and anyone who wishes to learn further. I think this is what I think flexible system we are going to introduce. Such education should be vertically integrated to provide opportunities for everyone who is competent and aspires to study further. slogan, place no bar, age no bar, time no bar, and offer quality education for all independent geography. So I think Carnegie Mellon said, sorry, Andrew Carnegie said, the only irreplaceable capital of an organization possesses is the knowledge and the ability of its people. The productivity of the capital depends on how efficiently people share the competencies with those who can use it. This is what Andrew Carnegie said, maybe possibly in early 19th century. So in the future, we just come to the future, then we'll go to some aspects of NEP. Engineering, the engineering education. I think we need a kind of flexibility in engineering education. That's what we talked about earlier. Students may choose 3 diploma degrees or compartmentalize. If you finish first year, maybe leave, then you get a diploma. You get a certificate, maybe diploma in second year, third year degree. I think this is a kind of concept of compartmentalization of the program. Curriculum is so flexible, then the follower can get a certificate right out of the university system, come back and join the second year. I think this is the kind of flexible system we are going to talk about. And this is being planned, but maybe introduced in a graded manner. Teachers doing concurrent proficiency certification diploma programs. Students may adopt blended learning formats. The aim is to liberate higher education, its teachers and students, from the suffocation of updating university and bureaucracy. I think this is what we need. And so I think we just want to cover 3 slides about the salient features of education policy, which is covered by Pankaj Mittal in a greater way. But just to summarize, because without NEP touching, the education demand concept will not work. So I think this is exactly the salient features of thing. So I am going to read out because it's already available in the MHRD website. It's only a shortlisted presentation slides of the thing. So I'm not going to cover this, but I'll go something else. Okay, this is exactly the kind of things which we talk about NEP policy and implementation processes and reorientation of PhD programs, current national mission on mentoring. This has been talked about there in NEP in a greater length. And implementation by 2030 or 2040, they showed their planning. Maybe possibly by 2050, it will be a good thing to see India in the education map, in a global map in a higher level. So I think this is happens. I think Indians who have done us proud of us because see, some of them we have done with all the environments we have done, we are able to produce this kind of great heroes. Right? We produce. They are appreciable characters. Indians who do us proud is our students. Coming students and future students, right? Maybe Mera Bharat Mahan, quality skills development program to empower the billion. I think this is what we are going to talk about, and I am open for questions now. Build India campaign. India can excel in education services. Let us all work together to make this India bright and shine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful and informative session, and which I am very sure has enlightened all the participants about the essentialities and the underlying promises of NEP 2020. There are a number of questions from the participants, which I would now take up with your permission, sir.
Okay.
So the first question we have from one of our participants, can NEP 2020 make India self-reliant in all walks of life?
It is not possible because we have to work together for it to achieve. Because NEP 20 itself is a reform, and we are going to implement it over a period of 20 years. Right? So it may give you kind of focuses areas, develop this, but overall all things superiority will not be achieved. So it takes time. I think maybe possibly I think we all adopt this sincerely, seriously, and we can do that. We will achieve that. Okay.
Sure, sir. Can NEP 2020 produce more job givers, that is entrepreneurs, rather than job seekers?
I think it's a mix of both, because job seekers are job givers also. Because it is empowerment is going to take place in all levels. We are going to give the kind of incubation centers at all levels, from school to college to universities level, right? So we are really going to create a lot of environmental changes, and we'll produce. We'll absorb. We'll have job seekers, also job givers. So I think this is exactly the kind of thing we are going to see, a kind of enormous change which is going to happen, transform the India to a better world.
Absolutely. Next question we have, can NEP 2020 succeed in generating scientific temper among the youth of our country?
Yes, I think what has been conceptualized, it happens. I'll be the happiest person to say that. Because the funding engines are grouped to be National Research Fund. It's going to be like a university funding agency. We are going to collaborate with all the funding engines together to come back and fund research of need, today's need and tomorrow's need. I think this is going to change the kind of research focus and applied research focus. There will be fundamental research as well as applied research. Both of them are important. We have to be balancing both, because we should see the applied research is going to be much more beneficial in economically, but fundamental research is going to happen. Without that, we can't work, because that's what exactly the kind of academic institutions to concentrate on. That's why practicing teachers and practicing research teachers and professors, they are going to differentiate. US is differentiated. The research professors who do only research, they don't do teaching. Their teaching assignments are there for different people, right? I think we may be slowly converting into the kind of mixed environment in our university and applied university system. The application is going to be removed, that's what NEP says. But how far you can remove it is a question, because every university institution cannot be given the kind of authorities, autonomous cities, right? So we have to work together towards the goal.
Sure, sir. I completely agree with that. Last question, which I think is one of, again, most important question. How does NEP 2020 aim to develop rural India that suffers the largest in terms of education?
See, we said that we have to break the borders of the states. We have to bring the language issues to one of the multilingual systems, right? We are going to start about translating universities language institute. That's going to be funded by NEP. So translation is going to happen between languages, contents of languages, content systems. So we are going to mix and match of lot of things to happen. So maybe possibly I think local language address is very important for skill development at the local level, where English may be more important for going across the nation, across the world. So maybe possibly I think this is what is going to happen. Even local talents will nurture, will make the local development happen, and they will also penetrate, but English will be side by side helping them to go out of their borders.
Absolutely, sir. Very rightly said. And thank you so much for this wonderful session. I would now request Professor Emin Huda, sir, Director, Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Computer Applications and Management, to present, sir, with this certificate for this wonderful session.
Thank you so much, sir. The topic, if you keep on talking for entire week, will even that time be short. But the way, in a very constrained time slot, you explained all possible dimensions of the futuristic education, and in the backdrop of NEP 2020 was marvelous. This certificate is not only for the purpose of certification, rather for the purpose of reminding you that you have obliged us by being part of and a valued speaker for this wonderful webinar, which was attended around 300 people, including its live streaming at our YouTube channel of Bharati Vidyapeeth. Thank you so much, sir. This NEP 2020 and futuristic education is a very demanding concept, and this probably 2-3 years down the line, we will be exactly in a position to understand that in which way the rules, regulations framed by different government agencies are going to take it forward. I'm sure the way the policy is futuristic, the policy is proactive. In the same manner, the rules and regulations will also come in a proactive manner. I could see many other questions, which because of the paucity of the time, we have not taken. But I'm sure questions will keep on coming. You have rightly said that the time has come. That is the demand-driven education. It's the demand-driven examination system. Gone are those days when the controller of examination declares a schedule and all students, irrespective of his or her preparation level, has to appear on that schedule for giving the examination. Gone are those days. In fact, the days are going to come when the university institutions, academia will have to come up with a demand-driven examination system where they may keep on waiting or may declare multiple schedules online and allow students to register for examination as and when they are prepared enough for the purpose of examination. then only the exam phobia, which at this moment is with the students, and the students are always overburdened with the examination work, can go away. So very, very good talk and very informative talk. I was receiving good feedback in the chat window as well as on my WhatsApp. Thank you so much. We'll have you again for some other lecture in future. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving an opportunity, because I thought that let me give this concept when NEP is right on demand today, because so many agencies are working towards implementation strategies for NEP. Then we thought that maybe possibly beyond that also somebody should think, and maybe possibly, as you said, examination to be not compartmentalized in 6 months or 1 year. They can take any time they want. I think flexibility in the examination system will come, and anytime students want to take examination, go. I think this was exactly I introduced for CAT system for the management schools.
Correct.
Because I was one of the reformers, one-man commission supported a person to document CAT on demand. But now it is happening twice a year, but it's going to be flexible. It's going to be made available anytime you want. You take your thing 2 years validity of scores. You can improve those scores if you want to do it. I think like that, the examination system also will come. Then on demand, you can take examination. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. We'll have you for another talk.
Thank you,
Dear participants, the kind of the information which was shared with all of you, I am sure all of you must have got benefited with this. And this is the information, or this kind of knowledge dissemination is the primary objective of such webinars. If you have not registered for our forthcoming webinars, we have shared link. Please register for forthcoming webinars, as well as join any of our WhatsApp group, because we keep on sharing latest information through our WhatsApp group as well as through Facebook. And this topic probably after a month or so, we will again be interested to have one more talk on NEP 2020, because it is a kind of very emerging concept which every one of us have to understand and go along with that. And with this, that the entire purpose was to bring you into light from darkness, bring you into a knowledge era from ignorance. And that's how the great poet said, उजाले अपनी आंखों में महफूज कर लो, बड़ी दूर तक रात ही रात होगी, मुसाफिर हो तुम भी, मुसाफिर हम भी, किसी मोड़ पे फिर मुलाकात होगी. Thank you so much to all my dear friends. This meeting room is now converted to a call center. Dr. Ritika and all the team members who are at the back end providing technical support will be taking care that if you are not getting certificate, or if you have got any problem in getting the certificates, they will be happy to resolve your queries. But please understand, if you could not fill the feedback form before 8, then probably my team members won't be in a position to help you or facilitate you for the purpose of certificate. Do ensure that you have filled up the feedback form. Once you fill up the feedback form, the data will be fetched from the form which you are going to fill, from that Google Sheet which you are filling. Based on that, a certificate is generated, its PDF is created, and it is being emailed to you as an attachment. If you miss to fill the feedback form, there is no way to get the certificate, because manually we can't do that. We do not send the link of this Google Sheet or this certificate generation system, neither on WhatsApp, nor on email, nor on any other mechanism. The only way to get the link is through this chat window. So we have shared the link, participate in the process, and wait here in this room unless you get a certificate. Once you get a certificate, acknowledge here you got certificate, you are leaving with this commitment that will be joining again for our next webinar. Thank you so much. Wish you stay safe, stay healthy, continue learning despite disruptions all around us. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Ritika.
Thank you, sir. And once again, Subramaniam, sir, a very big thank you for this wonderful session.
Thank you.
I also thank all our distinguished panelists and participants who have continuously supported us through all our webinars. A big thank you to all of you who have joined us today on this auspicious day. Hope to meet you in our next webinar soon. I can see the number of participants is decreasing continuously, which means most of my participants have already received their certificate of participation. Dear participants, for the ones who have not received the feedback link as yet, the feedback link is already shared in the chat window. If you cannot find the feedback link in the chat window, you can go to the panelist names and you can click on Huda sir's name, and in the chat window you will find the feedback form link has been shared by sir. So for all those participants who cannot find the feedback link, kindly go to the panelist link and click on Huda sir's name. In the chat window you will find the feedback form link. It is necessary to fill the feedback form so that you can generate your certificate of participation. Until and unless you fill and submit the feedback form, we will not be able to help you with your certificate of participation. We are not sharing the feedback form link on any personal email ID or WhatsApp group. So dear participants, kindly refresh the chat window and please submit the feedback form. Whichever email ID, dear participant, you have filled in the feedback form, you will be receiving your certificate of participation in the same inbox. So kindly check the inbox of the email ID that you have submitted in the feedback form. And I can see my number of participants is continuously reducing. So that implies that almost many participants have already generated their feedback form successfully. And from the numbers, I can see over 100 certificate of participations have already been successfully generated. My number of participants is continuously reducing. So thank you all dear participants. We hope you will join us for our next webinar. 150 plus certificates have already been successfully generated. Thank you, Dr. Husam. It's wonderful having you every week. We hope to host you again in our next webinar. Toshi, try logging in with the name, with the email ID you have logged in through for this used for this WebEx. $150 plus certificates have already successfully been generated, and I'm seeing simultaneously my number of participants is continuously reducing, which implies that every participant is successfully receiving their feedback form, their certificate of participation. Thank you so much, all dear participants. Everybody who has received their certificate of participation can leave the meeting room. Stay safe and take care of yourself. And hope to meet you soon again in our next webinar. The recording of all our webinars is available on our official YouTube channel, BVI Camp New Delhi. Sir has shared the link of the same in the chat window, dear participants. Any of you who have not subscribed to this link of ours, to this official YouTube channel of